Greetings folks, this is Woody from Obadiah's. We are finally getting around to finishing up the hearth for the cabin. We did a series of YouTubes on how to reduce clearances to combustibles, and we're now putting the ceramic tile on. And we have Mike here, world-renowned mason extraordinaire. Want to say hello, Mike?
Hello.
So as you can see, the walls have already been prepped, and we prepped them for reducing the clearances so they're non-combustible. Instead of having the wood near where the stove is, there is a special bubble foil stuff down below it, and it reflects the heat back, and there's cement board over that. The main place it gets hot is behind the stove, and that's got the 1-inch standoff, and it is 1 inch from the wall all the way to the top, and that acts as a chimney and it ventilates. It gives you a NFPA 211 reduction to clearances by I think 67%, depending on who you talk to. Some say 68. So that's just a rule of thumb, start at the lowest point.
Basically.
So essentially what you do is you put the border on, and as you can see we have a bullnose border with a blue accent, and the bullnose goes all the way around the perimeter where the joint is between the wood and the cement board, and that'll go across the top, back down, and trim the floor. So that's what we're working on, and what we're doing is we'll put the border up first, and then we're going to fill in between with some slate. The floor itself is going to be this American Orlean brown tile here. As you can see, we have slate in, the borders on, and what we're doing is prepping for a Cookstove installation. The walls have been properly prepared for the installation of the stove. What you have on the left side, nearest the firebox, next to the stairwell here, is a steel frame wall. Most of the tile's done now. It's grouted, and we're doing the floor. The way that the rear wall is constructed, there's a standoff behind it, so there's a 1-inch airspace. You can see there's a gap at the floor, and the gap is what allows the cool air to come in from underneath and then convect up the wall and keeps the wall cool, that way reducing clearances to combustibles. And what we're using on the floor is hardy board, 1/4 inch. We've got 3 layers of hardy board with underneath the stove itself. There is 1 layer of that bubble foil stuff that I showed you. So there's 3 layers of hardy board over that. Between the layers of hardy board that's on the floor, we did use a layer of thin set mortar. Nothing pops tiles faster than the screws that stick up. These little screws here, and if you put a piece of tile down and if it's hitting on that screw or it rocks, you're going to have a problem. So on the final sheet there is very few screws. There's 2 layers of the hardy board down below that. The floor has been pretty flat, and then we laid the thin set mortar down, and then we laid the last sheet of hardy board on top of the thin set, and we trawled it just like you would normal ceramic tile. And then so that sat down real good, provided real good base. It's nice and flat and strong. and then we laid our tile on top of that. So in the back you'll notice the difference on the tile. We have on the side walls are slate, and on the back wall is just regular ceramic. The larger tiles on the back wall. The main reason is I could be clever, but this is leftover materials. The slate's from Michigan. I brought it here with me. The blue tiles are left over from a job I did. The large white tiles are what's left over from our floor inside our home. And but the benefit is the lighter the tile, the bigger tiles like that won't hold quite as much dirt, and it'll also reflect the heat back much better. Instead of absorbing heat, darker colors absorb what lighter colors will reflect. So keep that in mind. The slate on the walls will absorb heat, whereas the tiles on the back wall are going to reflect the heat. So the reason there's 3 layers on the floor where the tile, where the hearth itself is, where the stove will sit, is because of the weight of the legs of the stove. I don't want the ceramic tiles cracking. We're using smaller tile for the floor. You can see there it's the like 1 inch, inch and a half, inch and a quarter tile. So we're getting ready to lay that. Just wanted to share this with you so far. Show you the progress that we've made. So looks like Levi's doing a good job. This is Woody from Obadiah's, and we'll talk to you later. Bye.